Well, this recap is quite late, but better late than never, and I might as well recap this week as well. The most wonderful time of the year... I need to wear this. The most wonderful time of the year is coming, and one of the most concerning issues that need to be discussed is the fact that we are still worshipping Santa Claus. Wait, what? Why is a fictional old man still getting credit for all the invisible labor that moms are doing to make Christmas magical for their kids? Jeez. Okay, Grinch. So you'd rather tell your kids that it was you who bought the gifts. Why do you insist on taking credit over the gifts? It sounds quite a lot like narcissism to me. You want to know why Santa gets all the credit? Watch Claus. Amazing Christmas movie. Highly recommend. And yes, if you find the artwork very familiar, that's because this is the same artwork from the mom live on Instagram. The same mom that unloads all her private issues to the World Wide Web that I talked about in another recap a while back. Check out the end screen if you want to see that. If you don't want people to talk about your business online, stop talking about your business online. But that's not the only bad Christmas take for today. Christmas is apparently a bad holiday. Why? Well, here are a couple of reasons. The first one is the food is garbage because turkey is chicken but worse. Okay, first off, that's a subjective opinion. Second, even if I agree with you, you have the choice to make Christmas to not taste like garbage. Make better food. Make Christmas special. If you don't like to eat turkey, then just eat something else that you like. Second, having to spend time with people you hate. You hate spending time with your family? Sounds like a...
That sounds like a you problem.
Horrible, ugly-ass decorations. Again, subjective. Carol singers are infuriating. Also subjective. Constant religious iconography. I mean, it's Christmas, so it's to be expected. And finally, capitalist exploitation of the holiday. Okay? Kami. And that's the first two hooplas for today. If you want to see more of these hooplas, don't forget to check the APB episode where I react to all of these hooplas live and uncensored and with Opera Bros. So check out the stream channel link down below and go subscribe. As usual, before we get to the next hoopla, I want to thank the sponsors that I can rely on and always rely on forever, and that is you guys. You guys are the ones that make this whole thing even more fun. Thank you so much for donating and subscribing and liking the video. If you want to be part of these amazing people, if you want to see your names among these awesome people, then check out the links down below. Just $1 a month and you'll see your names like there. Seriously, check out the links down below and please donate. You guys are amazing. One of the most interesting things that happened in regards to the Game Awards is the Player Choice Award. Initially, Sonic Frontiers appeared to be winning in this regard. That is, until the Genshin fans storm in and overtake them. The thing is, Genshin winning the Game Awards isn't legit. Why? Because they bribed the players. Oh, but technically, MiHoYo didn't bribe the players. They're just promising in-game money for the players if they manage to win the awards. And that's why they have to vote. Not because the game deserves the award, but because they'll get rewarded with in-game money. So, a bribe. That's a bribe. That's what a bribe is. And yes, Genshin did end up winning the Game Awards for Player Choice. Not a legit win because, again, the players are encouraged to vote for in-game money rather than the game being genuinely good. And some of the Genshin players really love to rub them on Sonic's face. This post in particular reeks of salt, which is particularly bizarre because this person is a Genshin fan and Genshin won. So why does this post feel like it's coming from someone who lost? To Sonic fans, we will enjoy our Primo games. We won those! You won about 800, which is like 5 pulls at best. The most generous that MiHoYo has ever given to you, to be fair. And you will win nothing! Exactly. Sonic Frontiers doesn't reward you anything for voting on the Game Awards, which is why the game is a more legitimate winner than your game. The fans think that the game is genuinely good, or at least a step to the right direction after tons and tons of bad games. Your game wins the Game Awards because the players voted for the Prima games rather than because the game is genuinely good. That's not a good look. Your worthless rat game will never win anything! Here's a clip from Sonic and the Secret Rings.
I told you, I'm not a rat!
You're all racist idiots and you deserve this loss! What the hell? Apparently, Sonic fans are racist idiots. You see why this victory celebration reeks of salt, and we're just one paragraph in. You can read the rest if you like. A lot of big game companies these days are raising their video game prices to $70 as opposed to $60. Video game prices being raised to $70 has always been a topic of discussion, and I've discussed this many times. Video games should not cost $70. $60 is perfectly fine. And yet, thanks to the presence of next generation consoles, games are gonna be $70 because companies are greedy bastards. A common counter-argument to this discussion is, well, video games in the past used to sell like $70, $80, $120, and those are just in the past. We haven't even counted for inflation, so why are video games getting cheaper and cheaper? Because everything else is getting cheaper and cheaper. And I mean, everything. So where do we begin? First off, you can be a game developer without the needs of college degrees. There are so many online tutorials or courses that would teach you game development using softwares or engines that are cheap or even free. The tools on making video games are getting cheaper and more accessible. Even a AA game developer like Ninja Theory can make a AAA quality game like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice on a super tight budget at a cheaper price. Second, production of games and distribution of games are getting cheaper and more accessible. There are many digital distribution stores out there that can let you to download games. We don't need games physically anymore. I mean, physical copies are great, but it's not necessary for a lot of games. Some consoles can only get their games digitally anyways. Third and most important point, there are many forms of monetizations for video games. You can monetize video games these days through all sorts of means. DLCs, microtransactions, battle passes, in-game ads, you name them. Now, you're telling me that with all of these monetization options, apparently $60 is not enough. Game companies just need extra $10 more from you. Either games really are that expensive to make, or you guys just suck at managing your money. Sometimes we really have to admit that we are really dependent on social media. I mean, I myself wouldn't have found out about all sorts of dumb takes and hooplas if it weren't for Twitter. Twitter is just a big source of nothing but garbage takes after garbage takes, and I am exposing all of these garbage takes to the World Wide Web just to reassure all of you that no matter how dumb you guys are as human beings, at least you're not as dumb as these guys. Most people who try to quit Twitter for Mastodon haven't left. Now, I'm not very familiar with Mastodon, and that's not the point that I want to make. I already said that we as human beings need to admit that we are dependent on social media. Some people are more dependent on social media than others, and Twitter is one social media that a lot of people are addicted to. And I mean, absolutely addicted to. The news have shown that an analysis of 140,000 Twitter users that threatened to leave Twitter to Mastodon, only about 1.6% of them actually leave. And it's for totally understandable reasons if you ask me, because social media is like a party. If you leave that party to another party, it won't be the same, because the people in that party are not always be the same as the original party. What was it that Heimdall said? Twitter is not the place, it's the people. For every job that exists in this world, there will always be absolutely garbage managers. But this one, who used to work at Olive Garden, absolutely takes it to the next level. This is a long message from the Olive Garden boss, or former boss, and it says, if you call off, you might as well look for another job. Okay then, boss. I guess you're gonna have to deal with your company being completely understaffed for the next couple of weeks. The boss has no tolerance whatsoever. If you're sick, you need to actually come and prove it. Okay, that's assuming that the person who is sick can actually physically come to your place to prove that they're sick. What if they can't? What if they're like at the hospital and bedridden and need care? What if they need to have their legs hung or machines to breathe? But this particular line over here just absolutely raises the bar in terms of awfulness. If your dog died, you need to bring him in and prove it to us. Jeez. Okay, boss. You want a decomposed body or completely resurrected, Pet Cemetery style? One of the things that impressed me about the internet is the social media influencers' capability of making people to believe that they are better than everyone else. Take this incel, for example, who believed that he is a high-value man. He made a list for this girl that he dated. The list consists of things that she needs to work on before she can properly date him. Let's check on the list, shall we? First off, she is too old. She's about 30 years old, which is apparently the new 60. You're the one who dated her, dingus, so what does that say about you? Second, she needs to quit her job and go work at a field that she is less good at. Why? Because women should not outrank men, especially not in sectors that she is active in. Wow, sounds like you're jealous that she outranks you.
The noob!
I'm starting to think that she is a more high-quality woman than you are a high-quality man. Third, she's too independent. See what I mean? This guy is just jealous that she's more high quality than him. It's unnatural, and it won't work for a high-value man. That implies that you are high value. You haven't established that, and we haven't agreed on that yet. Women are programmed to need men. That's just simple biology. You know what else is also a simple biology? Men are also programmed to need women. Otherwise, this girl wouldn't outrank you at your job. Fourth is that she has too many children. Wait, hold on a second. Too many children? So you're willing to take care of someone else's kid as long as it's not, too many? Or are you saying that she shouldn't have children at all at her custody? That's not a good way to win her at all. 5, the fact that her ex-husband is in jail is not a good look. That's not something she can control, you absolute buffoon. A high-value woman would have absolutely stood by her husband and marriage regardless of how abusive it gets. Wow. Apparently, high-value men are abusive criminals, and high-value women are slaves to these abusive men and are perfectly acceptable collateral damage. 7, because he missed 6, she needs to lose weight because 140 pounds on 5'3" is fat and unattractive. Look, even if I agree with you, you're the one who dated her. It says a lot more about you than it is about her. 8, she needs to look at surgery that reduces the size of her eyes. Who the hell did you date, bro? Alita? And finally, she needs to grow out her hair. Shorter length is not good enough. That's your subjective philosophical point of view. Therefore, you're wrong. Okay, girls and boys, just a pro tip. If you see someone making a big list of requirements like this, make a counter requirement and see how they react. Relationship is a trade after all. If you want me to change for you, then you also have to change for me. If you can't agree with that, this ain't gonna work, pal. Boy, oh boy, this one is really freaking long and very entertaining to read. Porn is the most deadly drug on the planet. Here's why. No, it's not. That order goes to alcohol and nicotine. You have to convince me real hard that porn is the deadlier drug. Porn is considered normal and acceptable in our culture. Yes. Yes. Deal with it. Porn cost us our families. Really? I mean, I'm not exactly super social with anyone, but I still have a decent relationship, and so are lots of other people who watch porn. Maybe I'm just a twinkling little star compared to the rest of the coomers out there. It robs men of their souls. Maybe, depending on what you mean as a soul. It robs women of their lives. Again, also depending on what you mean as a life. It robs children of their innocence. As someone who has dealt with a lot of children, trust me when I say that they are far more aware of adult stuff than you might think. Some, unfortunately, decide to go beyond awareness and straight to action. Because kids are horny, I guess. Doesn't make it right. I'm just saying that's the reality of the situation. It is far from normal. It is far from acceptable. Again, you haven't defined what normal and acceptable is aside from no porn, which I don't think it's normal. Because I think it's normal and you don't, the whole issue is a subjective point of view. The difference between your opinion and mine is I don't guilt people with one's own mentality. You do. Before we get into how it harms the viewers, let's talk about the industry as a whole. It's trash. I agree. No objections on that department. No need to convince me on that. In fact, I already talked about this in the past. Porn industry has loads of issues, so let's get to the part about how it's harmful to us, the viewers. Around 85% of men and nearly half of women in the US are addicted to porn, but it's free, right? Wrong. You need to really define what free is. Just because time is money doesn't mean that free porn is not free because you spend your time watching them. Your brain reacts to porn addiction the same way it reacts to heroin addiction. Even if that's true, heroin is still more dangerous, and the people who are addicted to porn are not as bad as the people who got addicted to heroin or any other drugs. This comparison is only made to make porn sound scary, even though it's not. So the next few points can be dismissed by the fact that porn is not heroin. The more you watch porn, the less motivation you have. That's a very nice argument, but why don't you
back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Hardworking, making money, getting good shape, finding real women, etc. Oh wow, I managed to do all of those things while I regularly watch porn. Either I'm a twinkling little star among the coomers, or this guy's saying a lot of BS. Where would your life be if you had never watched porn? It'd be more boring and more miserable. Maybe you would already be married with kids. I am actively making steps in that direction, and so is my girlfriend, and so are everybody else who like to watch porn. Maybe you would have already built a business. I have plans of making one in the future, but if you want to call my dying YouTube career a business, then yes, I already have. Maybe you want to have a higher paying job. I'm perfectly fine with the salary of my current job, and I'm on the process of getting my master's degree to get a much higher paying job. You, on the other hand, are selling snake oil to porn addicts. Call me crazy. You wouldn't say I was crazy if I said that to a heroin addict. No, but you would be crazy if you say that to someone who already accomplished all of those things that you said while consuming this deadly drug. Porn in moderation is fine, unlike drugs. You don't do drugs in moderation. I mean, even alcohol and nicotine can still harm you in moderation. Think intuitively. Does it really shock you that watching strangers have sex on the internet is bad for your spiritual and physical health? It separates you from God. I don't know, if God really doesn't want us to consume porn, he wouldn't have made us to not be attracted to it. Read teachings from the Orthodox Church, ancient Chinese medical practices like Qigong, Buddhism, Hinduism, etc. Ah yes, Hinduism. I do recommend that, especially the ancient Sanskrit text called Kama Sutra. And those are all the hooplas from last week. Now, let's talk about the hooplas from this week, which is not much, actually. One word that I'm starting to get really annoyed by is woke. A lot of people have different standards of the word woke, and unfortunately, people use that word a lot, assuming that the person on the other end has the same definition. Like this person over here, 10 symptoms of the woke mind virus. The symptoms are basically things that normal people do. Do you read books and don't burn them? That means you're woke. Well, that says quite a lot about the modern day book burners. I guess they're not woke after all. If you embrace science, that means you're woke. If you're willing to change your mind when new information is available, that means you're just woke. If you're aware that most issues aren't black and white, that means you are woke. And it goes on and on and on. You believe in true equality? That means you're woke. You like to share? That means you're woke. You embrace cooperation? Woke. You respect other people's culture's rights? Very woke. You believe culture and the arts have value? That's woke. And wow, if you care for the planet and all of its life, very woke. That's very, very woke too. You see what I mean? All of these things are completely boiled down to, if you're a normal human being, you're woke. Which is not what people would use the word woke for. In fact, they would use them in a more negative connotation. And even in that regard, the negative connotation is super vague. It's to the point where if I have a criticism of something and it's related to quote-unquote wokeness, I'll just say it directly on why I consider it quote-unquote woke. For example, Black Panther Wakanda Forever has this scene where the character refers to another character as a chairperson. Not chairman or chairwoman, chairperson. I just find that really stupid and funny. It could certainly fall under what most people would call woke, but I don't call it woke. I just show how stupid it is so that I'll let you guys to make your own conclusions. That's why our criticisms towards media need to be more direct and clear rather than vague and meaningless, or especially politicized. Don't just put one word umbrella to describe the whole thing, because that's what your opponents do. Like sexist, right-wing, woke, leftist propaganda. This is one of the reasons why politics is only gonna divide people and why they shouldn't use media critiques as a way to vent their real-world frustrations. So a woman and her boyfriend love to review and critique movies and shows together. The boyfriend, however, likes or even loves shows that have unnecessary fan service or female characters that are disproportionately treated poorly, specifically anime. Okay, there are lots of baggage to unpack here. First off, you need to define the specific anime that you're talking about. Second, you need to define fan service. Third, you need to define how much fan service you consider unnecessary. And finally, you need to define how the female characters are disproportionately treated poorly. All of these are very subjective metrics, and depending on how you answer these questions, I might even agree with you. The way anime or fictional content in general depict characters are wildly different from one content to the next. So even if it's true that the stuff that he likes have all of those criterias, there are still stuff that also fulfill those criterias, except it's towards men. It's almost as if media caters to different kinds of people, or something. The girlfriend, being the feminist that she is, has to point out the sexism of the shows because it makes her deeply uncomfortable. But the boyfriend will either shut down or get defensive. Yeah, because you haven't established how bad the shows that he likes or loves in detail. You haven't even named one example to prove your point. Instead, you boiled down your whole argument to, it makes me uncomfortable. That's not a critique. That's just you stating your feelings. That's just your subjective philosophical point of view. Just because it makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean that it will make other people uncomfortable. It just means that the show isn't for you. Don't watch it. It's really upsetting because I tried to explain to him how it's incredibly sexist and objectifying for these writers to portray these things so shamelessly. Calling the writers sexist and shameless is not an argument. It's just name calling. Saying that you're uncomfortable with it is also not an argument. I don't think he understands that constant sexism and objectification is a part of my daily life and something I experience all the time. Your real life experience on sexism has no relevance to the fictional content that you give your criticisms to. In the same way, the experience of people who suffer to real life war has no relevance to people playing shooters. People will enjoy content that you deem problematic. If you don't enjoy them, then it's not for you. It's not some political talk I enjoy debating about. Then don't bring it up, dingus! It makes me deeply uncomfortable how quickly he will dismiss these things in the media he enjoys. That's because your arguments are garbage. Make better arguments. Or better yet, don't argue because you really suck at it. AI technology has been used to generate all sorts of stuff today. One of the things that AI generates is art. They generate art by studying already existing artworks and following the patterns that are there. Unfortunately, not a lot of artists are fans of this because the AI are using their arts as the basis, and thus there's a massive protest at many art websites such as ArtStation. Thanks to the protest from actual hardworking artists, the AI generates images that are straight up gibberish because their learning data is completely butchered. I think that's an amazing way for the artists to protest against AI art, but honestly, if you ask me, I think you guys really shouldn't be fighting. AI shouldn't replace artists. AI should help artists. I think there's a potential where AI can be used to help artists to accomplish tasks that would take them hours, days, or even weeks to accomplish. Maybe they can help to color the image properly. Maybe they can help smoothing the sketches. Maybe they can help making the line art better. I've been learning how to draw digitally myself, so I would love to have AI to assist me in certain places. I'm sure a lot of people do, but for some reason, we're not cooperating. We're fighting against each other, and I feel like that's not the right direction that we should take. Well, whichever side you're on, I can say this for sure. Even the AI bros hate the NFT bros. More and more reasons why parents need a freaking license. Epic Games got sued by parents because Fornite is really addicting. I think it's less about Fortnite being really addicting and more about you not being able to discipline your children. The lawsuit, which was filed in 2019, alleged that Epic Games has deliberately made this game so addictive that it can cause real-world problems. What are the real-world problems? Well, apparently the kids spend thousands of dollars playing Fortnite. Where do they get the money? Certainly not out of their own pockets, that's for sure. I'm starting to think that the reason why they got addicted is because you guys are feeding on their addiction. Apparently, the parents say that the kids spend hundreds of dollars on V-Bucks, sometimes without their knowledge. That's not on the kid. That's on you. Keep track of your credit card spending, you absolute dingus. It's interesting that Riot Games are basically just a clone of Activision Blizzard. They're a clone to a T, ranging from the type of games that they make to even the harassment allegations. And now they're taking it one step further by copying Activision Blizzard's attempt on distracting people with the gays. Or the lesbians in this case. Rejoice, ladies and gentlemen, Raze and Killjoy are kissing. Absolutely wonderful and progressive and all that stuff, but that still doesn't dismiss the fact that your company was in a lot of trouble for not treating people well. And you also censor LGBT content in countries that don't allow LGBT people. It's almost as if your endorsement towards LGBT people is just a glorified PR stunt or something. And that's all for the video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of these recaps, then please go click the subscribe button and check out the links down below where you can support me and see your names on the sponsor section in each video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one.